So you're thinking about making the move here to San Diego, California. Slow down, because it's not all unicorns and rainbows here in the great state of California. Before you make the move, and especially if you're from places like Arizona, Washington State, the East Coast, or our military families that are moving here, there are things that you'll want to know ahead of time. So, of course, there's so many wonderful things about San Diego, but there's also going to be some culture shock. We want you prepared, and no one ever talks about it. So we want to bring that to you, and with that in mind, we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell to get those notifications so that you're the very first to know about anything that's happening in San Diego County and the current market. I'm Dan Beer, and every single day, people just like you are sending us text messages, phone calls, emails, looking to make the move here to San Diego County. And we don't care if you're making the move in 9 days, 9 months, 9 years. We're here to help. We're here to make real estate easy. So if that's you and you're looking to make the move, go ahead, shoot us that text, phone call, email, and we'll help you make a smooth move. So the first negative about San Diego, which it's in California, so that means that we have higher income taxes than virtually anywhere else in the country, actually anywhere else in the country. So just to illustrate that, you have a 9.3% income tax, California state income tax, for people earning $56,086 all the way up to $286,492. So that's a 9.3% income tax for those folks. And there's a top tax bracket in California of 13.3%. So that's a lot more than the states that have zero, that's for sure. And yeah, I have to tell you that ultimately it is something that we feel, it's something we're aware of, and it's something that I'd love to say we've gotten used to, but not really. Now, con number two, the second thing about being here in San Diego that you're gonna wanna be aware of course, is the prices themselves. So not only do we have these high California tax brackets, but we also have just a low level of affordability when it comes to housing. Housing is expensive. So right now, as of the time of this filming, median price point in San Diego County, $840,000. $840,000, that's the median, average being 1.1 million. Now, the reason for the discrepancy is there's a lot of activity at the really high end of the market, so it's dragging that average up. But still, even the median at 840,000, higher than most markets across the country. And it's something where what we learn to live with is we might have a little bit less house, we might have a little bit less in that way, but we also have so much more in the in the exterior, the outdoors, and just being able to really enjoy the city. Of course, it's going to be something that you want and that you appreciate. Otherwise, that would not be a trade-off that would make a lot of sense for you. But it's not just housing. It's also just expensive. It's expensive in a lot of other ways. The food's expensive, the gas, our gasoline. I was just out of state in Washington, actually, and I go up there and I climb the volcanoes there in the Cascade Mountains. And of course, we see the gas stations, and significantly less than what we're paying here. So it's all the way through the supermarkets, the gas stations, and just the daily life. It's not the most inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination place to live. Of course, there's a high quality of life that is available here, but it's gonna cost you. Now, the third thing that you should know about before you move here that is a con, a negative of San Diego, can be the weather. Now, I know that's the thing we're known for. Yes, we have amazing weather. It's 73 degrees year round, all that. Of course, it's great. Having said that, that reputation makes people overlook a couple of things. Number one is we don't have seasons. Okay, so if you love that rhythm of seasons, that is for the most part something you're going to kiss goodbye. Now, we have a rainy season, we have colder seasons, but you're not gonna get that fall foliage and that snow and those really marked seasons. That's just not something that we have here. May gray and June gloom, two things that you might have heard of. So where that comes from is the marine layer gets just fully socked in, and during May and June, again, we have May gray, June gloom. Those are fairly cloudy months. Now, we tend to have a later summer season than most areas. We tend to have just a really, really sunny July, August, September, October, and even into November. We have a beautiful November, but we do have those couple of months where it's pretty clouded over. You might find yourself at the beach and say, hey, where's the sun? And we have a lot of cold nights. So something that always surprises people that are new to the area is, they might be, say, from the East Coast, come and visit, and because it's warm during the day, well, they won't wear their jacket out, they won't bring it with them, and what they find is we have major fluctuation in temperature compared to a lot of other areas. So we do have cool nights. You'll want to keep that sweater, that little light jacket with you. Of course, the weather is a huge plus compared to most areas, most places, but I just want you to be prepared to not expect perfect. So item number 4, well, it's the ocean. Now, yes, we have some of the greatest beaches, oceans, etc., wildly visited by so many people, but that's actually one of the things. Number one is the reason they're visited by so many people and sometimes they feel so crowded is because we actually have very cold waters. And for the most part, we have cold waters through a large part of the year. So in our summer months, when our water does heat up, our weather heats up, then we tend to have a heavy amount of tourism. It can be crowded. There can be a lot of people, especially, and we love you, but especially from Arizona. They will tend to escape the heat and our beaches simply just get crowded. Our water, like I mentioned, it is on the colder side. It does cycle down from the Arctic, down from Alaska, down from Canada, as opposed to on the East Coast where it cycles up from the equator. So just something to know about. Expect colder water during a large portion of the year. And in our summer months, it'll heat up. It doesn't, by the way, ever get hot, our water, but it gets to the point where you don't necessarily need a wetsuit, but we'll also have a lot of visitors. So the 5th negative on San Diego, lots of driving. This is a driving city. It is a spread out, sprawling, what I really think is a series of just big towns. And that's really a lot of the charm of it. Every little area of San Diego does have its own identity, its own feel, but there's driving. In fact, the average commute is 24 minutes. So if you're moving here, you could expect on average a 24-minute drive to work. Maybe that's not a lot. If you're moving from New York and you're used to a lot more, maybe it's a whole lot depending on where you're coming from. It's just something that you need to be aware of. This is also not a city that has a tremendous public transportation system by any means. Yes, we have the trolley. Yes, there's a bus system, but for the most part, it's highly inefficient. So it's the kind of system where really nobody uses it that doesn't have to use it. It's not a use by choice or for enjoyment type of system. Again, like you would have found perhaps in a New York City, it's not a big subway. We don't have the train system that San Francisco has. So expect a lot of driving and you'll be racking up the miles. Now, having said that, the wonderful thing about it is, again, there's all these little towns with different identities. So you could live in one part of town, visit another, and you really feel like you're on a vacation. And what you'll find is that Del Mar people in San Diego, they enjoy the downtown area, and downtown people enjoy Carlsbad, and La Jolla people get out east to the vineyards and the Ramona area. So you will use the city, and that's a really nice thing about it because there's so many different ways to live here, and we all tend to make use of it all. But again, it will put you in the car. All right, the next negative on San Diego, and this one hurts, lack of sports teams, professional sports teams. So as you might know, we lost what used to be our beloved Chargers. So that was our NFL football team. We are left with the San Diego Padres, who we love, but it's only one team, our baseball team. Outside of that, we do not have a soccer team. We do not have a hockey team. We do not have a basketball team. So for such a big city, one of the biggest cities in America, having only one professional team, you have to consider that one of the negatives. Now, San Diego State, that's a school that's absolutely coming up in popularity in terms of its football team, its basketball team. There's talks about them joining a larger conference, which means more excitement, bigger players, more TV contracts, etc. But still, you have to have pro teams, and we've got one. All right, next up on the list, the airport. Now, it's a great airport in terms of where it's located. It has a wonderful location within just steps of downtown, but because it's steps of downtown, the negative to it is that there's just not a lot of space. So we have the busiest single runway airport in the nation. And what that means is because it's a single runway, we only have a couple of terminals, and of course, we only have X amount of flights where you can go direct to different cities. Now, I have to say they've been doing a better job of it. I think whoever's organizing it, they're finding ways to create more routes, more direct routes. But nevertheless, there are only so many departures you can have from a single runway. And again, it just doesn't seem to match the size of the airport doesn't seem to match the size of the city and the desire and the demand for the city from people across the United States to visit. And of course, for those of us that get out and do business in different areas, you might be connecting on flights more than you wish. So finally, the last negative here on my list is we do have a homelessness issue. There's no question about it. Of course, there's an issue across the country in most major cities. But if you're from a place where you're not used to it, you're not used to seeing it, you might, you could be shocked, right? Should I not mention it? So I don't want to dive too deep into this topic, but yes, we have an issue around it. We hope to solve it, and just want to make you aware that it is something that San Diego is working on. Now, our homeless population here is, for the most part, predominantly located in the downtown area and will be far less visible pretty much everywhere else. So there you have it. And if you're thinking about making a move here to San Diego, make sure that you, hit that notification bell and are always up to date on anything going on here in San Diego neighborhoods, and send us that text, email, phone call. We love helping people just like you every single day that are making a move here to San Diego County. If that's you, we'll help you make a smooth move. Until next time, we'll see you on San Diego Neighborhoods.